Hello and welcome to Oh What a Marvel, a podcast or show on the Merc with Movie blog feed. I don't know if you guys can tell, but it's been a minute since I've done this. I'm not gonna lie, I wasn't exactly prepared to introduce the show, and I just I pulled back and I was like, what did I do almost half a year ago when I did What If? But hello, I'm Sean. This is
Hello,
Dean. Hello, Dean. You're my
this is
co-host for
Dean.
Moon Knight. I'm gonna be real with you. I didn't put as much thought into the opening as I probably should have.
You said everything. You hit all the buttons. It's
Did
fine.
I? Okay,
I think
perfect.
so.
I'm
This is Moon Knight.
This is Moon Knight, which is a show I did not expect to be watching in March. I kind of
Man,
I thought She-Hulk was going to be first. I'm not gonna lie. I really thought She-Hulk was going to be first
I never thought we'd see this. Like, I always hoped that
at
we'd
all.
get
Yeah,
here eventually.
that's true. I
Um,
guess
and She-Hulk as well. They're just two
that's
characters
crazy.
where it's just like they're such distinctive comic booky looks. Like, I don't know how you could translate them to work on screen with either the white suit or She-Hulk. Just like, do you do that CGI? Do you do that practical? Like, that's going to be just freakish. And we haven't really seen much of She-Hulk. But anyway, we're getting off topic.
We're
This
getting, but
looks so good. Moon Knight looks cool for the 1 second that we see him.
we really didn't see a lot of him. So we're gonna be talking about Moon Knight episode 1. I'm gonna be real with you again. I was not completely prepared to be hosting the show. So if you guys will give me just half a second, I'm gonna pull up the credits really quick. This is Moon Knight episode 1. It is titled, I think it's called the Goldfish
The
Conundrum or
Goldfish
something, right?
effect or something.
The Goldfish Conundrum. If I can just boop, 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 there it is.
Yeah,
Episode
something
1, the
like that.
Goldfish Problem. I went
The
too
Goldfish
big.
problem.
I went too big. I said conundrum. I think conundrum's a
Yeah.
bigger than problem, right? You probably.
Conundrum is more complex. I think there's more
I think you're
like
right.
conflicting moving parts to it, whereas a problem's just like there's a there's an alligator in my way, but a conundrum's like there's an alligator in my way and I'm carrying a bag full of meat, you know.
I feel like a problem is there's an alligator in my way, and a conundrum is alligator Loki is in my way.
Oh
This is
man, love
episode
that little
1.
dude.
Episode 1, The Goldfish Problem, directed by Mohammed Diab and written by Jeremy Slater. Came out yesterday, March 30th. Dean, what did you think of the first episode of Moon Knight?
So I like the opening. We get the I mean, I say I like the opening. It was
It was
cool,
weird.
but also I'm cringing. I'm cringing, man. The
Oh
glass
god.
in the shoes.
Oh god.
What?
And the
Like,
crunching noise it makes whenever oh no. No,
just
no, no,
why? Why
no.
would you do that? Why?
No. I didn't
Like,
know. No.
I don't want to yuck anyone's yum,
I will.
especially when it comes to religion. But if they're
Oh,
asking you to
never
put
mind. I
glass
won't.
in your own shoes, think about it, please.
maybe reconsider. Yeah, the glass on the shoe was difficult to watch, but what an effective introduction
Yeah,
to
the
Ethan Hawke's character.
yeah, the Bob Dylan opening,
Oh yes.
the really cool cinematography, which we get in parts of this. I'll get more into that later. I think there's some jarring stuff with the look and feel of the show,
Mm-hmm.
but
I
overall, oh, it was a solid start. Go on.
Yeah, no, so I noticed the jarring feel that you're talking about. I felt like there was a lot of I feel like there was a lot of use of shaky cam in this. I felt like there was a lot of handheld camera work in this episode that I really enjoyed. Um, I mean, I really enjoyed this episode. I've seen this episode 3 times. Um, I I watched it when I woke up Wednesday. I watched it when I got home with my family on Wednesday, and then right before I went to bed last night, I was like, I'm gonna watch it one more time. And so I've seen this episode 3 times, and I've enjoyed it pretty much just as much each time. I haven't liked it more or less on rewatches. Just I what I think I really like about this and what really shines is the it's like weird. It's like what is going on? You know, I like that they really chose to tone in or tune in um on what's the personality that we're seeing at the beginning? Steven. Uh
Stephen,
we I can't think of his last name. Stephen Grant, I think,
Stephen
right?
Grant, yeah,
Is that it? Yeah.
yeah.
Stephen Grant were really honing in on him and seeing his experience and framing this first episode around this experience as things start to kind of devolve around him.
And this is really interesting, right? Because for a lot of people not familiar with this character, which is most people who are going to be watching this show,
Yeah.
Stephen Grant isn't traditionally the primary
No.
Moon Knight personality.
Yeah, no.
So that's a really bold move to come in through a different angle and just present this character in a completely 180 from how a lot of people who are reading the comics are used to seeing him, and presumably the guy that we have moving forwards when he's more of a fully fledged like superhero isn't going to be this personality. This is would
No, I would
I
assume
wouldn't
not.
think this would be the character that we're going to move forward with and progress with. So it's just really interesting way to come into it, but it makes sense, right? Because he's us, because he doesn't know what's going on,
Yeah.
whereas some of the other personalities are kind of more in
Yeah.
line with the other stuff going on.
And it's very
So that's fun.
effective in its
Yeah,
usage of the of this perspective. And like my favorite parts of the episode is when he falls asleep and he wakes up somewhere else or something's happened. Like every
yeah,
time that happens, it's like the first time it happens, obviously he goes to sleep and he wakes up in like the Alps. And
yeah.
I so
Which is cool, but
uh, it's cool, but we'll talk about that sequence in a minute. Um the first thing I want to ask is Arthur Harrow, Ethan Hawke's character, is he Dracula?
wow, is that where we're going?
I don't know, dude. He was in a castle in like some mountains, and he
I
has like
mean,
a
yeah,
cult of
he was in a
villagers.
castle, but like, so is the Queen, Sean. You saying the Queen's Dracula?
I'm saying that you can't prove that the queen isn't a vampire.
I'm not going to talk about the Queen. All I'm going to say is I wish he was as cool as something like a vampire. But
Yeah,
no, I mean, I was trying to figure it out because from my understanding, he's not a character from the comics, at least in name so far. Unless they do a switcheroony where he turns out to be something else that we know, just with a different like alias and whatnot. But
yeah.
all I could think about the whole time I'm watching him is he doing an impression of Steven Seagal, like with like the kung fu kind of the Wing Chun, whatever, you know, like the kind of airy movements that he's doing, and the way that he's talking, the really quiet cadence and everything, the long hair. I'm like, this is Steven Seagal. He runs a dojo. Like, come on. That's all I could think about when I'm watching Ethan Hawke in this thing. And it's not even start on Ethan Hawke because, you know, you said you weren't going to do it
What
and
did
you
I
did
say I
it.
wasn't gonna do? Oh,
Not
Ethan
you,
Hawke did say
Ethan
he. Oh
Hawke.
yeah, he said he wasn't gonna do a Marvel
You
thing.
said it was your shit, but what you really meant was it was shit that you should get invited to the party. That's all you cared about. And now you're here and you're doing a Steven Seagal impression, which I, for some reason, I'm all in. I'm all in for it. I want to know more about this guy. Really want to know what the point of the glass in the shoes is, what his connection is to the Moon Knight legacy and the
Mythos and
Scarab,
all.
and
Yeah.
how all this stuff factors in.
I assume at some point we're gonna go back and we're gonna see all of what happened with Mark, and how he became Moon Knight, presumably, and we'll meet whoever was on the other side of that phone. Layla, was that the name?
Yes. I
So
wanted to know who the other person in the phone was. The
yes,
one
there
that
was
I'd
another
imagined
one.
like
What was that name?
Gulshund or something. Some really harsh sounding,
Yeah, there was. Oh,
badass name.
I can't think of what that name was, but there was another name on there. What if he had been scrolling through and it just said like Peter Parker, like just like, oh
Yeah.
wait, it's a reference. Uh, Speaking about this kind of Ethan Hawke, we're in this like weird village with like a village out of like Resident Evil or something where everybody's like
Yeah.
member of this cult.
Like
Um,
Jonestown.
yeah, I love the judgment thing. That's cool. And
Yes,
it's like when it's like
but
swinging, and then the on the tattoos on the arm or whatever are judging people.
then what is it doing? Because obviously the woman who gets the bad
He's a
verdict, she's a
vampire. It's Dracula. And then he sucks her life force. He's got hand suckers like Morbius in the 90s Spider-Man cartoon. And I'm telling you,
he
he's
does kind of look
Dracula.
like he could be Morbius's older brother who's like surfs and is in a band.
Remember when we spent all of WandaVision waiting for Mephisto to show up? That's going to be me with this, but I'm waiting for it to be revealed that Ethan Hawke is playing Dracula.
I mean, I'm trying to think because I'm like, right, so he's got like a scale themed, justice theme kind of. Is it like a
Mm.
karma thing? You know, because he's kind of looks like he's got some of that Eastern, you know, vibe going on with the robe and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, you know, we got Moon Knight? Is there like a sun person? Like,
Oh, I think I think people thought that he was playing a character called the Sun King.
yeah, see, I've not heard of that, but
I
that
don't know
kind
what
of
that
makes
means,
sense.
but I also think that was refuted. I think that was the initial like theory, as people were saying he was playing the Sun King. But
I mean, to a non-comic book person, that would sound pretty lame. We're like, oh, great, we got Moon Knight fighting the Sun King. How original, you
my
know.
guess is this is an original character. I'm gonna wait for it to end up being Dracula, but my guess is this isn't gonna be
They,
anybody from the
if
comics.
he's an original character, they're gonna connect him to something else. He'll be
He's gonna
working
get
for a
bitten by Dracula.
he's going to get bitten by Dracula, or he's going to be working for some kind of bigger
He's
entity
gonna be working for
that's going to
Mephisto.
connect into like, you know, like Dracula or Chthon or something like that. You know, I think he'll tie into somebody else, but I don't think he ain't nobody.
While we're getting
He's
way ahead
Ethan
of
Hawke.
ourselves and speculating completely irresponsibly, uh we see in Blade in this show, or we see in Black Knight with Jon Snow, like was like while we're talking, we've got this awesome show that is so separated from the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and it's very independent, standing on its own so far in this first episode. It's not really doing a bunch of references to the blip or anything. So let's just go ahead and start speculating about how we can drag that back into line and just take everything special out of it and just shoehorn some other characters in.
I mean, there was a quote, I believe, not long ago where somebody said that we might get Blade quicker than we thought we would or something. Did somebody say that?
I feel now. What if he's Dracula? Then Blade better show up. Yeah, I
Is that a
yeah.
quote from like the director or from Deborah
I don't
Chow
know.
or
I
or one of
don't
the
know.
writers or something?
I have no idea.
Um, so maybe we get him in Multiverse of Madness. Maybe it's something like
But
this.
it's Wesley Snipes. I wouldn't it be hilarious if at the end of this show, Mark or Steven, whoever's in control, is standing in front of like some, I don't know, what kind of weapon does Moon Knight use? Does he use like a
Like
staff or something?
he has a staff. He has crescent
Yeah,
blade
like
batarang
yeah.
things.
And he's like, I'm gonna. Oh, am I ready to be Moon Knight full time? And we just hear, "Are you sure you want
Full
to do that,
time.
Mister Grant?" From the every Blade appearance before his own movie is just off screen talking to the character. Are you sure you want to do that, Mister Grant? Like, or Mister Spector, whoever.
I mean, who's the other person? Because there's more than just two personalities in the Moon Knight um lexicon.
Lexicon.
I'm
I don't know what other personalities we're gonna see. I kind of
sure
hope we see quite a
I should
few.
know this. I did read. I've read some stuff like
Yeah.
not just in prep for this, but just in
Okay.
general. And there's always like three or four different personalities. Like, and
I
plus he's
doubt
being
it'll just
haunted
be
by like
two.
villains and
Yeah.
stuff. Like the victims all live in his head, and
Mm.
you know, at one point he thinks he's Captain America and Wolverine and Spider Man, and
Speaking
there's
of
so many places
victims,
they could go with that. Go on.
yeah, I was say speaking of victims, he's killing people. Um, And
Yeah,
they say this isn't like Captain America hit that guy really hard on the head with the shield, but he's gonna be okay. They're like, he killed 3 of our guys. Like,
yeah.
Moon Knight's killing people.
Which, so do you think, like, because we get the hints throughout the episode of like Khonshu's talking to him. I love the voice
Oh, the voice for
of
Khonshu is so
what we
good.
presume to be Khonshu,
F.
and then
Murray
you've got
Abraham, I believe, is the voice
yeah,
of him. Mm-hmm.
and then you've got Mark Spector, who is presumably the one who's running the Moon Knight side of things.
Yeah.
Is how it's presented to us. So is is Mark Spector still just like a bad guy, or is Moon Knight just trying to help him, but he's kind of like going too hard and just murdering everyone? Like, is Stephen Grant like the good personality and Mark Spector's the bad personality, or is it the Moon Knight personality that is the morally questionable entity? And where's
I
the line?
believe I believe in the comics Mark Spector is a mercenary, right?
This is the thing, he's an ex-mercenary who's now just like your kind of regular, like, gritty, emotionally unstable anti-hero,
Mm.
but he's still trying to be a hero, the Mark Spector personality at least, even though he does kind of go a little bit hard sometimes, but he doesn't kill people. So is is Mark Spector still a mercenary where we're meeting him now, or is he just killing people because he's possessed by a moon god? You know what I mean?
I
Is Moon Knight actively trying to be good, or is that something that he's going to have to figure out as he reconciles the personalities along with it?
How far into the Egyptian mythos do you think we're going to go? Because unfortunately, I did not read Rick Riordan's Egyptian God series. I only read Percy Jackson. So while I recognize, the Greek gods from Percy Jackson, I'm not super familiar with their Egyptian ones.
Yeah, no, I'm not overly well versed in Egyptian gods either.
I mean, they talk about the pantheon a little bit, or at
They
least
go
like
into it.
the.
There's 7 of them, 6 of them,
Well, there.
something,
I
or
I
8 of
think
them.
he says that there's 9, and that the poster they put up in the museum had 7. And he was making a big point about how 2 of them weren't on it to his boss, Stephen Grant was. He was like, the marketing department left off 2 of the members of the Neo or something.
Yeah, so presumably one of those is Khonshu,
And probably
and
the
the
other
other
one
one
is
is represented by the Ethan Hawke cult people, and that
Amit or Amit.
so is that why they're left off, because they're not like, because they're actively like being avatared in real time, so that in so when he looks at them, he's not seeing them there because that's his brain's way of trying to, telling him what's going on, that's giving him the clues. Is that what's happening?
I
He's
Dean, I
fight
have no
clubbing
idea
him.
what's happening.
He's being fight clubbed as a verb. Um, yeah.
Yeah,
And then he talks about.
I
Go
was
on.
yeah, I've got no idea what's going on with with the missing Pantheon stuff. I have no idea if that's relevant. I have no idea what's happening in this show. I do want to talk about the one action sequence that is kind of really. There's one action sequence where kind of a lot happens.
Well, the
And
car chase.
yeah, the car chase. So they tried really hard. And the car chase in theory is like cool, right? It's a
Yeah.
cool car chase, and like the camera work is good. They might have
And a
rushed
really
the
cool
show out
looking
just a little.
road.
Yeah, they might have rushed the show out a little bit because some of the CGI in that chase sequence. Um,
Yeah,
it was bad.
yeah, I agree. Like it had all the elements, but it just felt like it was slightly lacking. Like I don't know if it was just the momentum or the editing, or because I didn't really pick up on like the bad CG that much.
Oh, there's one bit where a dude jumps like they're like driving behind him and they're trying to jump. The guy that jumps into the van and he like
Oh
jumps
yeah,
on.
he does kind of come out of nowhere.
Oh, it looks really the trees coming down the side of the cliff. It's
Yeah,
the CGI is pretty rough in quite a few places during that sequence, but it's what's up, dude? But it's cool as hell because we do get the bit where they're struggling and he's trying to knock him out with like a bunch of cupcakes or whatever, and then
yeah.
he passes out. And when he comes back, he's got a gun in his hand, and the dude is okay. So let's talk about like the violence in this show. Oh my god,
There's implied violence for sure.
there's implied violence. It's not as bad as Daredevil or whatever. It's not as violent as Daredevil, but there's some
No.
blood in this show. Like when he is getting like mobbed by those people in the village, and he like switches identities or personalities and comes back, and his hand is covered in blood. Like there's a lot
Yeah.
of blood on his hands.
Do you think? How do you think they handle this? Because it's kind of weird, right? Because sometimes they're using the personality switch as like a narrative, just like
Mm-hmm.
it's just like a transitioning device for the
Mm-hmm.
narrative, or sometimes they're like almost playing it for like comedy, like, oh my god, I don't know where I am. Oh no, I'm driving
Yeah.
backwards. And then other times they're using it to like really like be serious with it. And I just like, are they? You think they're walking the line well with that? Because I just feel
I
like they're being precarious.
They're walking a tightrope for sure. I like how they've used it so far. I'm actually a little bit worried about what it's going to be like when we start getting all the different personalities and we stop cutting away when he switches. Because I think that keeps the episode speedy. I feel like the episode
Yeah,
moves because we keep having these frequent, like, what the fuck is going on? And when we get to the point where he switches and then we follow the other personality, I'm a little worried that'll bog the slowdown. It'll bog the showdown a little bit. Um, and I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen with that. But I like the way they used it in this episode so far.
because at this point it's basically like the defining like trait of the character is kind of all we really have to latch onto. And because of the way that it's handled, obviously we're cutting away from the action, so we're not seeing it, which is really, bold. But also as a casual audience goer, you don't know what it is we're missing. Obviously, we
Yeah.
kind of can pull it together like, oh, okay, he's Moon Knight, he's got a staff, he's got crescent darts, he's doing this, he's jumping around. But if you're just a casual viewer, you don't know squat about what's going on in that time. I kind of felt like maybe they should have given you something up top, like an opening scene where we see like a full, or at least get hints of like a full Moon Knight in action scene. So then we kind of
Mhm.
know where he's kind of going, and we're not just like chopping the crap out of an action scene. I don't know. It's bold because I'm not saying that we need like non-stop balls to the wall action. It's just we kind of need to have something to kind of just contextualize what what he's dealing with, so we can feel the stakes a little bit more when he's sticking a cupcake in somebody's face,
Yeah. So
which is
Moon
a
Knight,
funny moment. But
it is
sorry,
a funny
whoever
moment.
wrote this, and Oscar Isaac does a pretty good accent. It's one of the better ones that I've heard, but never in my experience as a human being has an English person used the word cupcake.
Oh, is that a no-no?
I we It's a muffin or
Oh,
it's a
get the fuck
fairy
out of here.
cake.
Shut up. Shut up. All right. So
I'm not
comment
joking.
here.
Anyone
It's
else out there
all
wants
right,
to say
dude.
that they
Stop
heard
talking about
cupcake?
your weird British calling cupcakes muffins. You're wrong, and you should feel bad about it. But this is a good comment, and I want to talk about it. It says if Moon Knight ends up working with the rest of the MCU universe, and when Deadpool ends up coming to the MCU, I want to see them fight each other like in the comics. Would be insane. That's true. Also, I feel like the only place you can ever get. Okay, so everybody knows about the memes, the Moon Knight memes that are not real, but like people like edit Moon Knight's dialogue from the comics. I
I
feel
love
like that
these.
would be in a Deadpool movie, don't you? I feel like in a Deadpool movie, if we that's where we'd get like a scene where Moon Knight's like, "Where's Dracula? That fucker owes me $5 or whatever." You know, like that's I do really want the panel eventually where it's Moon Knight and Spider-Man standing together, and Moon Knight's like, "Hey, I just like spaced out for a minute. What's going on?" And Spider-Man's like, "Just punch whoever I punch." And Moon Knight's like, "All right, got it." Like that kind of interaction
Yeah,
would be fun. But I do think I do think seeing Ryan Reynolds, God, because Oscar Isaac has some really good comedic chops. Um,
he's so great in this. Like
yeah.
I say, he really does a good job with the action, which isn't hard to do. I feel like there's a couple of dodgy bits that are probably more to do with the writer or the director and the choice to make him like it's that weird like it's that like effeminate Dick Van Dyke
Mhm.
tone that they always got
Yeah.
to go for. Why
Yeah.
do we? And I get that we want to separate him from what presumably is like a hard mercenary badass character that we're not going to meet
Yeah.
yet. But why is it
Dean,
always got to be the Dick Van Dyke? He's like,
I-
oh, he's doing a Rami Malek impression.
how do you feel about the fact that when he's the useless, to quote Khonshu, parasite persona, he's got a British accent, and when when it's just when it's Mark talking to him through the mirror, he
He
seems to
sounds
have
like a
kind of a.
fucking boss.
He sounds like kind of like I feel like he kind of sounds like he's got something of an American accent going on, and when he's talking
Yeah,
to him
he
through the
sounds
mirror,
fucking sick. He
how
sounds
does
great.
how does it make you feel, Dean?
Well, this is what I'm saying. It's like, why have we got to be the slightly effeminate, emotionally unstable one? And then your guy's like this fucking G.I. Joe,
Don't worry, I gotta do. You gotta give me
fucking
control. That's
hard hitting, fucking Kurt Russell, you know, diamond chin, fucking badass.
now. I want to
I
do an
mean,
edit where Dean, you're in like a bathroom, and we like do some. We have somebody like banging on the door, and you look in the mirror, and I'm there, and I'm like, Dean, you gotta let me take control. You gotta, Dean, that guy's coming in. I gotta take control.
yeah, that's it. It's just you're just trying to take control. Um, yeah, we're being oppressed, everyone.
Okay, well, I don't know if you noticed, Dean, but
It's a
England.
metaphor for colonialism.
Oh, and you would know about that, wouldn't you, Dean? I do really enjoy that sequence we're talking about with the mirrors at the end there. I think that was probably the best use of, and I hope we get more stuff like that. Like that entire ending when like he walks by that one reflection and he stays behind, and like that's
Yeah,
the really cool stuff. I want to see more of that. I want to see them
yeah, they're really,
finding ways to have the different personalities have a conversation in the real world like that.
yeah, all of that stuff, man. Like the really moody, like the psychological thriller looking stuff is great. But then, like the car chase and some of this other
Mm,
stuff, he's just shot like fucking day glow. Like there's this certain look, and I don't want to besmirch the movie, but there's a certain like Russo brothers look that kind of
mhm.
came about between Winter Soldier and Civil War that
Yeah.
a lot of the Marvel, especially the street level stuff, kind of just
Like
seems to
Ant-Man really
default.
takes it as well.
Ant-Man took it, Falcon and the Winter Soldier took it, Hawkeye took it, and they all have had like little splashes of their own like little kind of versions of like the flavor, different flavors, that they can do. And I just feel like they need to keep each show in its style, keep this whole thing looking creepy, you know, so
And
it doesn't just feel like that.
I feel like Loki is really the only show that did not end up devolving into.
Yeah, Loki kept that like monochromatic kind of
Yeah.
saturated look um throughout
Because
the whole thing.
WandaVision did it a little bit at the end. When they started fighting in WandaVision, it kind of went a little into like the Russo
Yeah,
brothers style.
you know what? The more I think about that, I think everyone's way too hard on One Division for that. It's
Oh,
like
I
we
agree.
got we got like 6 episodes of like really cool, really tasty mystery.
Yeah,
Like
no, I agree.
we really, and then we got like 1.5 episodes of like, classic Marvel flying and laser blast. Like,
Yeah,
but we fucking earned that.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
you got everything else, and then you got that on top of it. Don't complain that somebody put whipped cream on your apple pie. Do you know what I mean?
What a fucking what a statement. So I want to finish up our conversation about this action sequence. I do want to point out that I feel like I was watching that chase sequence on the road, and all I could think was the opening kind of fight sequence from Falcon and Winter Soldier, where he takes on the helicopter. I could only
Yeah,
compare it to that, and it did not hold up favorably compared to that sequence in Falcon and Winter Soldier. I thought the VFX for this first episode were kind of not all there. Um, I do
yeah,
want to talk
that's fair.
about, because Josh just hit me with this, and it's a good point. It's a point I forgot, to be honest with you, and I can't believe I forgot it, because it's the most important character in the entire episode. But the gold dude. Oh, that's why
Yeah.
Josh wanted me to talk about it. Josh was like, "You should bring up the gold dude," because he had a picture. I see your secrets, Josh. Look at him. Look at that. Look at that face. Who is that? Who's playing him? Does anybody know?
No
No,
idea.
you got no idea. Is that like an important character? Like that was
I
it felt important, right? Or
I
did it feel
felt
like a
like
bit?
I assumed it was supposed to be a statue of some kind of like fucking American historical figure, or some kind of, you
Why
know,
would it be an American? He's in London. Why would it be an American historical figure?
good point. Just a historical figure.
I like how you took a second to think about it and you were like, no, you're right.
I don't Because I didn't recognize him. That's why. I don't know who this fucking guy's supposed to be. I thought maybe some explorer who fucking did a lot of Egyptian themed exploring. I don't know. Is he?
I did like that little dynamic. I hope we see him again. I like the idea of the only friend that like Steven has is the one that can't talk back to him.
Well, I
Like,
love how he's sitting there. He's talking to the statue, and then the family ask him to take a picture, and he takes the picture, and then he asks them for a tip.
yeah,
And I'm not sure if he even sits there for the reason of taking pictures for people. Did he
no,
just think off the top of his head, "Oh, I might as well ask for a tip"? Like, is that part of his like
Steven's a good
mercenary like
person.
brain coming out?
Oh
Like,
no, I was gonna say that Steven's a good person, and Steven is gonna be like, I think Steven is a nice guy. Like
so
he
why
seems
charge
like,
them for the picture? That's what I'm saying.
well, no, but you're supposed to leave a tip in that kind of scenario, right?
But that's
Whenever
not what he
those
does.
street
He's sitting there
performers or whatever.
talking to his friend. He's not a picture taker.
Yeah, but he's not taking a picture. And I think he was just talking to his friend, and he was like, "Hey, don't walk away from my friend without giving him money. Come on, dude. Like you just took a picture with him. Be chill." I don't think he sits there for the express reason of like, I'm gonna take pictures of him with people and get them to give them the money or whatever. But I do think it was just like him kind of being like, "Hey, don't be an asshole" or whatever. Because that gives me the vibe of who Steven is he seems very much like, I don't think he even comes
It,
across as being like, don't be an asshole. I think he genuinely is just like, oh, I don't know if you forgot, but you should leave a tip because
yeah,
that's the nice thing to do or whatever, you know?
he's the vibe of the character and the aesthetic of this movie. Does it? Is it just me, or does it scream Joker to you?
Like, oh,
I feel like this is just like
oh,
one small step from being Arthur Fleck,
oh my God, it
fucking
kind of does
being
give
nice
me
to the
Joaquin
lady on the
Phoenix.
tube train. It is
Yeah.
it's like an English Arthur Fleck.
It's the English version of the Joker. How
Yeah,
does that story end?
um, I'll tell you when I die. Um,
That was the edgiest thing I've ever fucking heard. That was incredible. That was really good. I'm trying to think of some other scenes in this that I apparently that his name is Bertrand Crawley, which I don't know if that's like a character in the comics or something,
Mm,
but the actor is Sean Scott, who I am looking at right now on Wikipedia, and I don't recognize. It looks like nothing like super. Yeah, it doesn't look like there's anything super recognizable for him. But
no.
I'd like to see more of him. I enjoyed that little bit. I thought it was funny. I'd like to see that relationship kind of evolve a little bit.
You know
Uh,
what relationship I don't want to see evolve a little bit?
what?
Fucking Donna. Go fuck yourself, Donna. You horrible, horrible prick.
Who is Donna
The
the boss?
the museum lady.
I don't like her. You think she's
Just
evil?
like clearly having a nervous breakdown, just like, here, have a fucking handful of stuffed toys, you prick. It's just like, what?
Do you do you think she's like evil? Do you think she's got one of those tattoos?
She's got to, because they really like, she's just
That's
relentlessly brutal to him.
that's the episode 5 reveal. She's
Oh,
Dracula.
it was Donna all along.
It was
She's gonna bust into a
it was
song.
Donna all along. Yeah, exactly. Um, you
And
think
she's like, I'll
the
put you back into inventory. It's like, that's what I do all the time anyway.
yeah,
It's just,
leave me alone. Do you think the mom is alive? The one he keeps calling?
I mean, probably not. I
Yeah,
mean,
right.
again, this is fucking Joker. Like,
Yeah.
it's just like, you think he's been talking to the mum all the time. You're going to find out that he's just leaving voicemails.
Yeah. She's been dead for
Like,
like years.
that's the thing with this show, man. Is like, they want it to be like this cool, like, Fight Club mystery, but we know from the get go, because we know it's a superhero show, so you can't keep the mystery that, you can't market it like it's not a Marvel show, but then it secretly turns out to be a Marvel show. They're not going to do that.
You
So we
can't do like
already
Unbreakable or Split.
you can't do Unbreakable or Split with this, because the show's called fucking Moon Knight, not
It's called
Stephen
yeah.
Grant, and
Yeah,
then
it's
like you find out that so like all those other little things. It's like, yeah, we know that he's probably not the prime personality. We know that the mum that he's talking to is probably not alive, and it kind of just sucks the wind out of the sails. You can't really do it in that way as much as you'd like them to. Do you know what I mean?
yes, I do think it's gonna
It's
work.
frustrating.
I think it's gonna work for the general audience, though. At least I hope it will. I do think the people that aren't familiar with Moon Knight and don't realize that this entire thing is like based around the
Yeah,
multiple personalities and all that, I do think that it will probably work better for them. But for the rest of us, we're kind of just waiting. We're kind of like, yeah, we know, we kind of know what's gonna happen here. I
yeah,
guess not. We don't know what's gonna happen, but we know that like this dude goes around in a Moon Knight is Mephisto. That's true. Josh, I really
yeah.
need you to stop posting things from my fan fiction. I sent you that in confidence, and just you pulling just random sentences from it is kind of
Yeah.
breaking the trust. But
It's just hard. It's just hard to be satisfied when like you're kind of entrenched in the stuff, and you're waiting. You know what you're waiting for. It's different to like the One Division comparison again, because like that like what her powers are, because you've already exposed to her from the movies, so straight away from the get-go, because things are so obviously different with the sitcom thing, that there's going to be that flip, whereas in Moon Knight you're kind of hovering over the line the whole time, so you're not getting either of the weird quirky stuff that's like unique to that character, and you're not getting really much of the superhero stuff either.
yeah,
So I just feel like it runs the risk of feeling underwhelming, and I could have done with either one, a little, just 1 degree one way or the other, you know?
yeah, choose kind of a tone and choose what the show is. It seems a little confused about its identity, which I kind of feel like that's something that a lot of these Marvel projects sometimes feel like they do. I mean, before we went live, we were talking about Hawkeye. I think that was before we went live, and how Hawkeye
Yeah.
felt a little confused. It's in its identity, and I think Falcon and Winter Soldier had that a little bit as well. Um,
See,
I
I kind of feel like it works better for Falcon and Winter Soldier because that is just out and out like a street
I
level
I
action
think it worked
adventure
better. Yeah,
show, whereas stuff like this and like Hawkeye, they kind of teeter between like two slightly different tones, whereas Falcon and Winter Soldier was a fairly like by the book tone, but it was at least ran
yeah. No, that's
pretty
true. That's true.
pretty solid all the way through. That's the thing I'm having. So if people are coming into this thinking, oh, this is gonna be like a psychological thriller version of a Marvel thing, and then half of it isn't that,
Yeah,
and
they're
then the
gonna.
other
Yeah,
people want the superhero thing, and half and well, 90% of it isn't that, you know. And can we talk about how does he get back from the Alps, right? Because they play that for a laugh. They play that for a laugh, but in all seriousness, like he didn't get fired. Like the boss already hates him, and he managed to get back in time for his next shift. Like that's presumably like a 12-hour flight or something. Does he have a passport? Like, what were the logistics of that? Like, and it's funny to talk about, but also it does kind of suck the stakes out a little bit. It's like when he's dealing with this mental illness, where's the impact on his life? If you're waking
okay,
up
yeah,
halfway across the planet,
yeah.
like then that's going to actually cause you problems, you know. Like, let's see how he copes with that. You
That's a
know, let's not
cool
do the
jet.
Dark Knight Rises and he just appears back in Gotham City when
Dun,
it's supposed to be
dun,
impossible to get in.
dun, dun, dun. Anyway, sorry, you said Dark Knight Rises, and I just started thinking of the music.
Yeah, I just
Moon
feel
Knight
like
does have
don't
a
put him
Quinjet.
halfway across the planet. I mean, yeah, I mean he does have that stuff in the comics, but again, we don't know if he does.
Give him a I want the moon copter.
He's
I
got
don't
a
know if
whole,
that's the
he's
thing.
got like a whole array of like
Oh,
moon
dude,
themed
I want a
vehicles.
moon motorcycle that is like half of General Grievous's motorcycle thing, but it's like a crescent. It's just the bowl. It's like a bowl. He's driving on like a bowl motorcycle. I want that.
Yeah, he's got like a moon plane, like a crescent shaped fucking plane
Like a
that
boomerang flying through the sky.
he literally he doesn't land it. He literally just like rams it into the side of people's buildings.
Oh,
And just
oh
like
no.
it, there's some fun stuff. Yeah, so there's
M-
probably a crescent copter as well. I would not be surprised.
A moonerang.
A mooner.
Where
Yeah, that.
so we ended the episode with him beating the shit out of the like that monster thing.
So is that
Where
supposed to be Werewolf by Night? Is that what they're going for,
I don't think so.
or
I
is
don't
that
think
something
so.
else?
I think that's some weird other thing. Will
Because
we
you
see
can't see
Werewolf
it
by Night in
clearly.
this? Because that's coming at
Well,
the end of the year, right? They're filming it right now.
but because this is what I'm thinking, because they're like, because in the Moon Knight comics, Moon Knight's hired to take out Werewolf by Night. So I was thinking it'd be a cool twist if in the show they hired Werewolf by Night and they used him to try and get Moon Knight,
Yeah.
which is why I thought that might be what it was supposed to be, or some kind of version or just play on that.
Hmm.
But yeah, it would make sense. I mean, or do you just do the Werewolf by Night special and have Moon Knight be the cameo that pops in that, because by then we'll all be familiar with Moon Knight.
I mean, what if the
Um,
Werewolf by Night special, and the reason it's just like a special is because it's bringing together like Blade and Moon Knight and like Black Knight. Like, what if we bring everybody together in that Werewolf by Night
when is that? Is
special?
that this year or is that next year?
That's this year. They're filming it right now, but I don't know if they hire Michael Giacchino to direct the first gathering of like the supernatural Marvel universe. You
Yeah,
know?
and I don't think Blade's gonna get introduced in a Halloween special. That kind of feels a bit. I mean, he belongs in a Halloween special. I just don't know
Yeah.
if that's the place you. I mean, I suppose it would be the equivalent of like Boba Fett, right? Getting introduced in the holiday special. like, I don't think that's the vibe you really want for a badass
Why'd you
vampire
have to bring
hunter.
up why'd you have to bring up Boba Fett, dude?
That's right.
I was having a good time. I was enjoying Moon Knight. I've seen this episode 3 times, and you
I
brought up
watched it
Boba
twice.
Fett. Boba Fett. And you brought up not only did you bring up Boba Fett, because while the book of Boba Fett wasn't my favorite thing, I actually really didn't like it. It was at least decently made. You also brought up the holiday special.
Yeah, I mean, the animation was pretty slick for its time.
You invoked the Star Wars holiday special. That's like saying Macbeth on a stage.
This is why I just don't think they're going to do Blade like that. I think Blade's a
Moon Knight
really
has to go
beloved
in. Moon
character.
Knight versus Dude, Moon Knight
Blade's
beats
a
the
beloved
shit out of
character.
Boba Fett, right? Moon Knight absolutely destroys Boba Fett. Boba Fett.
If I'm comparing episode 1 of Moon Knight to episode 1 of Boba Fett, then yeah, it's a far more interesting show. There's actually a mystery and like a plot that they've set up.
Oh, I meant like a fist fight.
Oh, you want to talk about an actual fist fight?
Like if they're fighting, I think Moon Knight beats the shit out of. I'm talking Book of Boba Fett, Boba Fett. I'm talking about old man Boba Fett, not like Boba Fett in his prime or whatever.
I don't know,
the
man.
Comics.
He's got like the knee rockets, and he's kicking a lot of ass in Mando and Boba Fett. Like when he's in the suit doing the stuff,
when he's on the show,
pretty good when he's in the show. Yeah,
that's what they're gonna do.
We don't know what Moon Knight can do yet.
Episode 5 of Moon Knight is gonna be a Blade show.
I mean, I would love it if more shows did that, but not. They need to know when to do that kind of stuff, and I think Marvel has earned being able to do that. It did kind of feel very out of left field for Boba Fett to do that, even though Boba Fett was reintroduced in Mando. It just felt like we want to do this because we know we don't believe in the rest of the show that we have, so have some Grogu.
Speaking of the rest of shows, though,
yes,
what do you want out of the rest of this show? What is like? This is like we're kind of rounding out episode 1 here. What is like your what do you think is most likely going to happen, and what is your dream like? If they contacted you and were like, Dean, here's the script for episode 1, write the script for episode 2, and like where we're going. Like, what is your dream, and what do you think they're doing?
I feel like, I don't know if you do this in episode 2, but I feel like we've got to get a whole episode that takes place like the origin. We've got to get the flashback origin episode, right?
Mm-hmm.
So presumably that would start us off with a completely different character, and we would see how the Stephen Grant personality evolves from whatever they go through as a mercenary. If it's Mark Spector, if it's like, you know, crappy childhood and then some traumatic backstabbing, getting left for dead experience that happens in Egypt when he finds the scarab thing, which I didn't even know that Moon Knight had like a scarab thing. Like I was like, this is a blue beetle.
That's what I thought of too. That's what I thought of too. I was like,
he's like sitting there doing that Leonardo DiCaprio, like, you motherfucker, like.
That's the kid from Cobra Kai is pissed as hell right now.
He's like, what? Now everyone's gonna think that I've ripped off Moon Knight, you know. But yeah, so I want to see an origin episode. Or what would be cool is if we got the stuff that we missed in this episode. If we get we get to see that from the other perspective of the other personality,
yeah,
and then they could interject that stuff as like flashbacks in another episode, so we can get to see all the action that we missed. You know, I don't know if they can be bold enough to show them killing those people though, but there's some potential for like what you could do with this, with the chronology of it all, and like, you know, how you could slowly fold it in together. It doesn't have to get Legion crazy.
Yeah.
But I kind of do get a hint of that vibe from this. and I would like to see them lean more into that. But other than that, I can't say, because we don't have any pre-existing story with this villain, because nobody really knows who the fuck it is.
Nobody really knows Moon
Um,
Knight, so it's not like we can be like, here's this seminal Moonlight storyline that they're probably
okay,
adapting.
okay. I'll tell you what I want to see. I want to see Stephen Grant find out that Mark Spector is like a millionaire in America, and he's got this mansion with like the Bat Cave, or the Moon Cave, or whatever it is, because he does have like a because he does have these
Yeah,
things in the comics.
yeah,
Mark
yeah,
Spector has like a big house with an underground fucking lair with all the cool
yeah.
vehicles and stuff. I want to see Stephen Grant getting introduced into or reintroduced into his own life, and finding out that he's got all this cool stuff. He gets to do trading places with himself,
That's a good idea.
and
I like it.
I just think that'd be a really cool way, to kind of have all those cliche comic booky things, but because you've unfolded them in such a different way, it would kind of just be people like, oh, okay, one personality's rich and the other one's poor. So it's just fun to see, as opposed to if you could just start out with, oh, he's a rich guy in a cave with gadgets, you'd be like, oh, fuck that Batman ripoff. But if Batman doesn't know that he's Batman, then it kind of makes us like, that could be me. I could be running a secret life as Batman and I don't even know it.
You don't even know it. I think I have no idea where this is going at this point. I feel like I have no idea where they're going, but what I just want to see a struggle between personalities. I think that's what I would find interesting. I
Yeah.
want to see like kind of them fighting for control, and I think that would be a good storyline. Have them fight for control and then come together and agree to do whatever.
Yeah, like I say, you've got the moral, like, dilemma between, like,
Mhm.
well, what's Mark Spector? Is he still like in mercenary mode, or is he already turned away from being a mercenary, but the Khonshu's driving him to be violent? Does Stephen Grant want to, like, does he want to access the Moon Knight thing? Would he want to use it, or would he want to get rid of it? Would he want to try and use it for good purpose? You know, there's a lot of Mark Spector's just like, you know what, you ain't got the cajones to get it done. You created me.
I
Or
gotta
there's Stephen,
lock you up, and I have to do this.
yeah, which one is the prime personality? And if the prime personality isn't a good personality, does that then make it okay for one of the other personalities to take control over the body and at least direct it into a slightly more wholesome way of dealing with your trauma? And does that make it okay? Or is it, I am the shitty person, that should be my prime personality, even though I'm a piece of shit?
Well, we're gonna
Not
find
to
out,
get
but
heavy.
unfortunately, for now, we have to wrap this up because I gotta go watch a movie about a vampire that I hear is not very good. But it's been a while since I've seen a truly terrible movie, so I'm hoping that this is gonna be it. I'm hoping that
I'm
like
excited to see it.
I gotta reset my baseline. After watching Suicide Squad back in 2016, I was like, now I remember what bad movies are actually like. Because, we get so many good movies, you kind of forget that like really bad movies exist. I'm kind of hoping Morbius is going to reset my baseline, but I'm about to go find out.
I can't
Dean,
wait to hear about this.
why don't you go ahead and tell people where they can find you online?
Go and follow me on Twitter at Dean Lewis 2099. Come and catch me here every week for the next 6 weeks talking about Moon Knight. Go and click on my channel at Dean Lewis on YouTube, where there's a video. So maybe there might be another video at some point.
Oh, there might be a second one, a sequel, if you will.
Leave them wanting more.
Leave them wanting more. Exactly. You guys can follow me on Twitter at Sean_AFK. And you guys can follow this YouTube channel on Twitter at MovieBlogMerc. You guys can go to the Merc with Movie Blog podcast feed. You can do all sorts of great things with that Movie Blog Merc. They do great shows here, and you guys can catch us next week at the same time, next Thursday, 6 p.m. EST, for episode 2 of Moon Knight. So we'll see you guys then.